What is going on, Cardano community? Welcome back to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed, and in today's video, I've got some exciting news that I want to share with you guys in the community. Now, the very first thing, and arguably the most important, is going to be IOG's response in regards to the recent lawsuits that we've just seen placed against Binance and Coinbase, which are going to be two of the largest centralized exchanges right now operating within the United States. Next, I want to touch on some of the facts surrounding the recent coin that was launched. Now, I'm not going to name it by name here, but this is going to be a meme coin that launched on the Cardano network very recently. And since the launch of the meme coin, we saw some botting activity. Now, keep in mind that none of this botting activity was in fact illegal. This was all perfectly okay to happen. However, there are members within the Cardano community questioning the ethics behind the people that have actually leveraged these tools. So again, I'm going to be doing my piece to give you guys a non-biased approach. I'm going to give you guys all the facts, and then I'm interested in hearing exactly what you guys think about this botting activity. After that, I want to jump into an update surrounding a marketplace that was here for the initial adoption and growth of the NFTs within the community, and it is now going to be closing down. So stay tuned for that particular update. While it is unfortunate, I do want to make sure to cover that as well. After that, I want to jump into updates surrounding Genius X and the fact that they're now going to be partnering with Chainport to allow the bridging of the Gens X token as a part of the upcoming Gens X public token sale taking place not only on Cardano, but also on the Arbitrum network. The very last story I've got here for today is actually going to be as a part of a community request, and that's going to be to give you guys some updates surrounding the CherryLend protocol. So make sure to stick around for that as well. I've got a laundry list of updates for CherryLend, including coverage of use cases, their roadmap, tokenomics, a brand new triple farm, their current progress, a brand new feature called on-chain credit, as well as an update surrounding their treasury and the recent governance vote taking place on AADA Finance in order to decide whether or not to add Cherry as a borrowable asset on the platform. Now, having said all of that, I am a single stake pool operator operating the official Dapp Central stake pool. If you guys appreciate this kind of content and you guys want to support me here on my mission to educate the broader Cardano community, then please consider delegating with the official Dapp Central stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. As a part of the very last housekeeping announcement, I do want to state that I have noticed some missing comments or some comments disappearing within the actual videos that I've been posting lately. And I want to be fully transparent in stating the fact that I have not deleted any comments here on this channel. So I do apologize for anybody who's experienced that issue. I am keeping an eye out on that, and I'm going to be reaching out to YouTube if the issue continues to worsen. Now, the very last thing I do also want to state is that I literally just got done recording this video. Unfortunately, I had some lighting issues, which I've just resolved. And so again, if you guys appreciate the time and effort that goes into these updates, then please consider hitting that like button as you guys begin to find value. Jumping into the very first story for today's video, I want to talk to you guys and give you guys some updates as to what IOG has actually responded to in regards to the recent lawsuit facing Binance and Coinbase. Now, if you guys missed my last video, it was about a 30-minute video breaking down all of the ins and outs surrounding the allegations and the charges being alleged that Coinbase, CZ, and Binance have committed. So it states here that the SEC has filed 13 charges against Binance entities and its founder, Changpeng Zhao, or CZ, as he's more commonly known as. Now, what they're basically alleging here is that Binance facilitated the trading of unregistered securities in the United States by trading or leveraging Matic, Solana, Cardano, Sand, Mana, and a bunch of these other tokens that are listed on the official Binance US website. Now, as a part of that video, I basically highlighted the fact that Binance US is just a subsidiary of Binance. Now, Binance US has a lot less trading volume, a lot less token supported, and a lot less users, compared to the traditional Binance platform. On top of that, we also saw the SEC basically state that The staking as a service feature that Binance and Coinbase offer is also going against or breaking the SEC's securities laws. If you guys aren't familiar with this, this is basically when you purchase Cardano on a platform like Binance and Coinbase, you can actually stake your token directly on the centralized exchange. And what they basically do is take that ADA, turn back around, bring it to the Cardano network, stake it there. And as they begin to earn block rewards for minting, they then pass those rewards back over into the users. And so that's actually why we have so many pools by Coinbase and Binance on the Cardano ecosystem. Jumping into the second article here, this is the press release that was made in regards to the SEC charging Coinbase again for operating as an unregistered securities exchange, broker, and clearing agency. Now, as a part of this particular article, it was very similar allegations, basically stating that these platforms were selling securities or tokens that should be labeled as securities to unsuspecting customers. Again, I am of the mind that we are all adults here in the space. We all know exactly what we're getting into. And these two platforms have done their due diligence, and they've also done a really good job of reaching out to the SEC first in order to ask for more clarity. However, the SEC has been extremely reluctant in order to respond or in providing us clear guidance as to some of the rules surrounding what is and what is not a security. So I think that both platforms have done a really good job of trying to stay in front of this, but it seems like unfortunately the SEC has a goal of making sure that crypto does not grow, especially within the US, which I personally think is a bad thing given the fact that the adoption will just push outside of the US and continue with or without the SEC and with or without the involvement of the United States. So now that we've got a little bit of background, again, check out my last video. I want to touch on the actual response that was made by IOG, which is going to be one of the 3 founding members in arms pushing the adoption and creation of Cardano. And so the article states, IOG is more than aware of the recent complaints by the SEC against Binance and Coinbase. Now, these contain references to the organization itself, the Cardano network, and Cardano's native token, or ADA. The filing contains numerous factual inaccuracies and will not impact IOG's operations in any way. Under no circumstances is ADA or Cardano a security under U.S. securities laws. It never has been. Understanding how decentralized blockchains operate is a fundamental component in creating responsible legislation. IOG continues to welcome cross-industry collaborations with regulators to help develop frameworks which not only safeguards consumers, but does not stifle innovation within the communities building decentralized protocols. This latest filing from the SEC demonstrates that we still have a long way to go in this regard. Regulation through enforcement action does not provide either the clarity or certainty to which both the blockchain industry and consumers are entitled to. IOG could not have said this any better. My biggest takeaway here is going to be the fact that they are standing on their ground and they're extremely adamant about the fact that ADA is not a security. So I'm going to go ahead and read that again. Under no circumstances is ADA a security under U.S. securities laws. It never has been. As a part of that last video that I recently shot, again, go ahead and check that out if you guys have not already done so, I highlighted the fact that Cardano's ICO took place in Japan. This basically meant that the initial coin offering was not available to anybody within the US, which is a really good start to marking it as not being a securities. Second, on top of that, we saw the recent ruling in the library token case in which the judge confirmed that any secondary sales taking place after the initial ICO are not considered or do not put the token in the place of being considered a security. So even though we have seen Cardano trading outside of the Japan area where the initial ICO was held and being traded in the US, as a secondary marketplace or on secondary marketplaces, that does not make it a security. So I'm feeling really confident here in IOG and in the Cardano community. And while the title of my last video was a little doomsday-ish, I do want to reassure you guys that I am of the belief that we'll be just fine and that we are going to make it through. I personally believe that what we're seeing here is going to be an attack against the on-ramps into crypto and not the actual cryptocurrencies themselves. Platforms like Cardano have made sure to go ahead and take all of the precaution before launching to make sure that they were not going to be in the scrutiny or in the crosshairs of the SEC, which is exactly what we're seeing now. So as we begin to get more developments surrounding this particular lawsuit, I'm going to make sure to keep you guys updated. And one last thing that I also want to touch on is the fact that we've seen multiple videos of Gary Gensler, who's going to be heading the SEC right now in all these lawsuits, talking about the fact that a lot of these tokens were not considered or should not be considered as securities way back in, I believe, 2017 or 2018, when he was doing some teaching at MIT. On top of that, we have just seen the fact that he actually applied to be an advisor for Binance in 2019. So I will leave that up to you guys, but let me know what you guys think about that. The same person that is trying to come against crypto now was not only saying that crypto was not a security, but he was also even trying to become an advisor for one of the platforms that he's suing. So could he be bitter? Could he be trying to make up for FTX? I think there's a lot of different things going on here, but right now it's not looking good for Gary. And I think that when it comes to Cardano and IOG and all these other tokens here that are also listed as a part of the securities lawsuit, they will be just fine. So that is going to be it there for the very first update for today's Cardano scoop. The very next update I want to touch on is going to be one that has stirred up a little bit of drama within the community, and that is going to be for the meme coin sale. Now, I'm going to refer to this token as just the meme coin because this is a family-friendly channel. I hope you guys can appreciate that. I will not be spelling out or saying the actual name of this token. So from here on out, it's just going to be called the meme coin. Now, the meme coin was launched about 2.5 weeks ago around the hype when SNEC was going hard and strong. Since then, we just saw the actual public sale and the release of the liquidity pool to begin trading for the meme coin. Now, what I'm going to be touching on is going to be the fact that we saw 2 members within the Cardano community, which are contributors to other projects on the network, take advantage of a feature that allows for them to quickly and easily place orders as soon as the liquidity pool was launched in order to get the cheapest price, and then therefore turn back around and actually sell their meme coin tokens at a premium. So they've made quite a bit here, and a lot of people in the community are slightly offended and taking a look as to whether or not this is illegal. Now, I do have to say none of this is illegal. Everything that they did took place on the network, and it was all verifiable, and there was nothing wrong about what they've done. But from an ethical standpoint, there's now a lot of people questioning the morals that these 2 members have. So again, I'm going to quickly jump into this particular one here. Now, before I do that, I do want to quickly touch on the mem pool. If you guys are not familiar with the mem pool on Cardano, this is basically going to be a pool that has all of the transactions that have been submitted but not yet processed on the Cardano network. Now, I'm going to tie into exactly why this is important and how these 2 members were able to take advantage of the mem pool and a bot in order to place their order as quickly and as early as possible. So it states here in terms of how transactions are processed on the Cardano network. Once a transaction has been signed, it gets submitted to a Cardano node, which is running locally or on a remote server. That transaction is then received by the Cardano node and is then added to the mem pool. A mem pool is going to be a collection of transactions which are yet to be processed by the blockchain. Now, these transactions are then going to be picked up by the mempool and validated before getting added and confirmed by an actual block. So if you've got access to the mempool, you can basically see what is going to be happening in the very near future on the Cardano network. So jumping back into the actual story here and how the mempool ties into all of this in the liquidity pool, we have a breaking news from the Cardano Times stating, not only did One Wise Melon bot the meme coin public launch, but Nick Jorns, aka Subfrost, a team member of the Yume universe and a moderator at the Cardano Lounge, also participated in botting and manipulating the meme coin, making approximately 480,000 ADA in the process. So as we can see here in the screenshot there on the left-hand side, which is blown up, we've got about 50K ADA being used to purchase the meme coin, and then we have about 529,000 ADA being sold of the meme coin, resulting again in about a 480K ADA gain for these members. Now, the controversy here is the fact that bots were used in order to scan the mempool and then pick up the liquidity pool ID and the token address associated with the meme coin as the team was actually getting to launch the liquidity pool. If you guys are not aware, let me just kind of explain how the meme coin tokens launch and exactly what expectations are when it comes to profit. So far, whenever we have a meme coin launch, what they do is basically have these stealth launches where they launch the liquidity pool, again, which allows for people to put in their own money and ADA into the liquidity pool in order to purchase the token at random times of the day. Because they're doing this at random times, what we normally have is a rush for people to get early access to the liquidity pool. That way they can purchase the token at the cheapest price. Obviously, because it's a meme coin, the main reason why people are investing in this is for the number go up aspect or for the price appreciation. Keep in mind that there are multiple ways to leverage Cardano in order to have a fair sale and a fair launch of a particular token. I've got two examples that I'm going to share with you here. Example number one is going to be the MinSwap launch bull. So this particular feature allows for you in the community to put up your ADA in a liquidity pool or into a bowl, quote unquote, which basically allows for everybody to do that over the course of a few days. And then after everybody has added their liquidity, they basically are then able to distribute the tokens evenly, making sure that nobody is left behind or that nobody gets the short end of the stick. Similarly, the Genius X platform has a launch pad that allows for an oversubscription model, which basically allows for you to purchase a token. And then once they've figured out how much liquidity wants to be invested in the token, they then are able to distribute those tokens at exactly the same time to make sure that everybody has an even and level playing field. Now, if you're wondering why don't meme coins use this, again, it goes back to the number go up aspect. A lot of these meme coins do not want to have a fair launch because they know that that will actually deter people from investing in the meme coin if that were to be the case. So for example, with SNEC, for example, with Bank, for example, with the meme coin that I'm covering now, what we saw were launches where they just basically open up a liquidity pool and the first person to get in there basically has the best ability to purchase the token at the cheapest price. And so tying this back into what we just recently saw, we had two members, right? One of them, I believe, works with the Yumi Universe platform, and then one of them may be tied back over to jpeg.store, basically take advantage of a botting feature to be able to get the first purchases of this meme coin token. And then obviously as the general public came in afterwards, they then sold off their assets, making their profit while some others actually took a loss. I also want to be clear here that keep in mind, this is how crypto works in general. Regardless of whether you're trading a meme coin or not, someone will always be on the short end or the receiving end of a loss in order for you to make a win. So keep that in mind. Now, I'm not going to be able to break down exactly everything that Supfrost says, but in summary, he basically breaks down the fact that he had to go out on his own with a little bit of help of some of the other builders that have come before him and figure out a way to query the mempool in order to be able to figure out when the meme coin liquidity pool is going to be launching in order to then place an order right away. That way, once the actual liquidity pool was live, he was able to confirm or get one of the first ever purchases of this meme token. Now, in closing, because of the backlash here and because of the question of ethics that have come in place, he is stating here at the very end, I'm extremely grateful for the chances I've been given. But after getting lots of feedback, both positive and extremely negative, I've decided to share my bot with the world. And in a follow-up post, I'll be sharing my code in hopes to level the playing field moving forward. So again, we have some prominent members here within the community leveraging some of their skills and abilities, which I want to be completely clear here is okay for them to do. Keep in mind, this particular environment is going to be survival of the fittest, similar to regular traditional stocks. On top of that, we have bots being used all over, not only in regular trading or Forex trading, but even in the Cardano ecosystem. So think, for example, of the batcher bots that pick up orders. We've also got arbitrage bots, which basically take a look at dexes and keep the playing field or the prices of tokens on dexes even. So as an example, there are numerous arbitrage bots that will take a look at a token, for example, the, let's say, Cornucopias token on the MinSwap DEX and compare that to the price of the Cornucopias token on the SundaySwap DEX. If the price on SundaySwap is higher than MinSwap, well, then they'll buy on MinSwap and then immediately turn around and sell it for a minor profit on SundaySwap. And this is how we're able to keep the prices of these assets at the same level on different dexes. If there's ever an arbitrage opportunity, the community jumps in to fill it using bots that are always constantly watching and monitoring the price of these different assets. So bots on Cardano is not a new thing. I think what the community is frustrated about is how these bots were used and who they were used by. Again, these are going to be members that have close relationships with other platforms, which include Yumi Universe and JPEG.store. And the fact that these people are using these tools without actually having the rest of the community have access to these tools, I think is what people were frustrated about. So the fact that Subfrost is looking to open source this, I think is a great start. But again, it is going to be survival of the fittest. This is nothing new. And this is actually how things operate on a lot of other networks, which include Ethereum as well. So let me know what you guys think down below. But I want to take a quick look at the actual chart for the quote unquote meme coin, given the fact that we did see it really pump up at the very beginning, and since then it has faded off quite heavily. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys here, and what we're going to take a look at is going to be the chart for the meme coin. So as you guys can see here, it started off extremely strong with this huge green candle, which we can probably presume is going to be the first members taking advantage of the cheaper price. And then as the rest of the community brought in, we saw the price of the token trickle down. It is now back at just about the same price that it started off as. And again, a lot of the community is more likely down on the actual token than they are in profit. So keep that in mind. Not everybody is going to win when it comes to meme coins. And this has been something that I've stated over and over as I begin to cover a lot of these updates. Now we've got another statement here before I wrap up this particular story from one Wise Melon, which also did take advantage of the actual bot. And it states here, I don't want to participate in the Twitter drama or the wild narratives, but these seem to be getting off of the charts. Buying and selling tokens on an open market is not cheating. It's not rugging, and it's also not exploiting. It's just old-fashioned trading. Some people do it manually using the user interface. Some people do it automatically using their own chain knowledge, and anyone can interact with the smart contract if they learn how to do so. Instead, they decide to hate on people who utilize their skills. Again, I have to agree here with one Wise Melon that it is not illegal or wrong for him to do this. It's just the fact that people are questioning his moral ethics, which again, that's personally up to them. He's got his own community, which obviously has been extremely supportive of his actions. And again, if he was not going to do this, somebody else would just take the advantage and they would go ahead and do that. So I'm happy to see that at least they're going to be leveling the playing field, but it is unfortunate that this has happened. But I do think the positive here and the silver lining in all of this is the fact that people are now talking about how people should be using bots. And hopefully it forces some of the people that were frustrated by this to also take it upon themselves to not only learn about how bots work, but potentially implement their own. Now that Subfrost is going to be selling, or not selling, but sharing, his bot with the community. The very last thing I want to share with you guys is going to be a tweet that was just made by Bison Coin. If you guys are not familiar with Bison, he is a pretty big speaker for Cardano. He does a lot of investigations on the network, but he actually participated in the quote unquote meme coin sale. So it states here 160K realized loss in the meme coin, 250K ADA left, and he had 400K, in total investments before the actual meme coin sale. So he has lost a huge chunk, about a quarter to 30% of his ADA in resulting in investing in the quote unquote meme coin. So just to really show you guys there to be careful, and you can never have a sure bet. A lot of people were trying to chase what they saw after SNEC launched and the hype behind SNEC. And a lot of tokens have just failed miserably in trying to recreate what we saw with SNEC. So that is going to do it there for that particular update. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys agree with the bot usage on Cardano? Are you guys in the camp of having this be open source to everybody to leverage, or are you guys just completely okay with what has occurred? Let me know what you guys think down below. But again, I wanted to bring you guys an unbiased approach here and an unbiased set of facts surrounding what has happened. The next update I want to share is going to be surrounding the CNFT marketplace, or explosive marketplace, which is one of the first platforms that ever launched the NFT movement on Cardano, which is now going to be closing its doors down. So this is a bit of unfortunate news here. And this is actually one of the first platforms that I leveraged when I came into Cardano in order to begin investing on the platform. And so it reads here, sadly, without enough trading volume to sustain us, CNFT.io is now offline. Please delist your assets via the wallet connection above. And for additional assistance, please submit a ticket using their platform. Thank you, Cardano community, for all of your support. We kept the lights on for as long as possible, but it's now a very sad goodnight from all of us here at cnft.io. Again, this is extremely sad. I know this was one of the first platforms that I actually used to get on board into Cardano NFTs, and I remember it quite well because of the fact that it required P2P interactions, or for peer-to-peer interactions to take place before an NFT could be sold. So this was way before we had smart contracts and JPEG rollout. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that people have to innovate in the space in order to be able to continue, right? So this team, updated from peer-to-peer. They also updated to leverage smart contracts, but it just seemed like it was a little too late given the fact that JPEG by then had already eaten into the majority of the market share, and they're now quite ahead, I believe, with more than 95% of the market share, and the remaining being shared between CNFT.io or Explosive, Plutus.art, and I believe there is one or two more, I think Flipper.io and another marketplace that is just escaping the name right now from my mind. That said, if I jump into their official website, we can see that you can connect a wallet. Obviously, everything is no longer available. But if you have an asset listed, please make sure to go ahead and connect your wallet and delist that asset as soon as possible. You want to make sure that your assets are not tied to any smart contracts on the platform, given the fact that they are going to be closing their doors. If you guys used cnft.io, let me know what you think of this down below. Obviously, it is unfortunate, but this is a part of the market and just the innovation that we're in, right? Again, you have to innovate in order to stay at the head of the pack. Otherwise, you can lose. It's never been about who's first to market. It's always about who is actually quick to listen to their community and who is quick to stay ahead of the pack by innovating what the community is asking for the most. The very next story I want to touch on is going to be surrounding Genius X. Now, I recently had a video breaking down the fact that Genius X had the article where they basically confirmed that they're going to be going multi-chain, not only by leveraging Polygon, but by also moving into the Arbitrum network. This is going to be an Ethereum compatible L2, which has been gaining a lot of traction and a lot of adoption over the course of the last few months. So in order to do that, right, they need a way to have their tokens being bridged from Cardano out into Arbitrum, and they've now chosen to join or to partner up with the Chainport bridge. So Genius X officially joins the Chainport platform in order to bridge gens to Arbitrum, and Chainport is going to be a trusted and secure bidirectional bridge, allowing us or our community to seamlessly switch from Cardano to Arbitrum and vice versa. I recently released a video breaking down the fact that the Chainport platform was now supporting bidirectional bridging, which basically means you could have bridged from any other network, for example, BSC, into Cardano, but you can now bridge out of Cardano into BSC, Ethereum, Arbitrum, Polygon, and all these other networks. So we're now getting a lot of adoption for Cardano from Chainport, and Genius X is just looking to take advantage of that. Now, as a part of my last Genius update video, I also touched on the fact that the Gens team recently announced the Gens X public sale. So this will be taking place on June 26th, and we're going to see, I think, about 111 million of their tokens coming up for sale. A small portion of that will be kept on Cardano, and it's actually going to be sold using the Gens X launchpad, which has already seen the successful sale for the Genius Yield token, the Kajito token, and they're now looking to host their third sale. Now, the remaining portion of the tokens will be going out to the Arbitrum network in order to allow for members on Ethereum to also tap in to the purchase of the Gens X token. Keep in mind, if you're purchasing the token on Arbitrum, it will be a wrapped version of the Gens X token, and that is going to be because the Gens X token is actually native to Cardano, so keep that in mind. In terms of some of the benefits here of actually holding the Gens token, there's going to be two features. The first is going to be the fact that holders and stakers of the Gens X token will be receiving 20% of the Genius X Launchpad fees rewarded in Gens X. The second is going to be that 20% of Genius X project tokens earned by the Genius X Accelerator will be rewarded to Gens X stakers in that project's native token, spread out equally over 80 epochs. So number one, they're going to be taking all the fees that they earn by hosting some of these launchpad sales and then turn that back over to stakers. And then number two, some of these platforms leveraging the GeniusX platform will actually be giving away a portion of their tokens to GeniusX, which they're going to be taking that and then redistributing that back over into their own community. So some pretty big updates there. Let me know what you guys think down below. Will you guys be participating in this particular sale? If so, let me know if you'll be doing it on Cardano or on Arbitrum. The next and the very last story here is going to be coming as a community request surrounding CherryLend. So we've got a ton of updates here that I want to cover, and this is going to be a big update. So buckle down, and this is going to be today's last story. Now, before I jump into this, if you're enjoying this video so far and you've made it this far into the video, I would really appreciate it if you guys could tap that like button. Not only is that the easiest way to support me here on this channel, it's also one of the easiest ways to get this content out to other members within the growing Cardano community. So jumping into updates surrounding CherryLend, the first thing I want to touch on is going to be some of the use cases of the Cherry token. So use case number one is going to be peer lending. Again, this is going to be peer-to-peer, which basically means that you can select all of the rules and governance surrounding the actual loan. And then number two is going to be borrowing. So as a borrower, you can come in and tap into using your crypto as a collateral in order to borrow other assets. Third is going to be incentives. So they're going to be incentivizing the community by giving away their Cherry token, whether you're providing liquidity or providing loans, or whether you're borrowing as well. Fourth is going to be yield farming. Fifth is going to be pooled lending, which is actually going to be coming up as a part of their roadmap, which we're going to break down in here just a minute. And then very lastly is going to be governance. In the next tab, we're going to be touching on the roadmap. In Q2 of 2023, which is where we're currently at, we're expecting the launch of the testnet, as well as the release of peer lending. In Q3 of 2023, or next quarter, we're going to see the launch of yield farming. In Q4, we can expect pooled lending. So I believe that's going to be right after AADA Finance releases their pooled lending. And then in Q1 of 2024, we'll see the launch of governance, which basically allows for Cherry holders to leverage their assets in order to be able to vote on the improvement and the direction of the CherryLend protocol. Now that we've got those two things out of the way, I do want to briefly touch on their tokenomics. So what we have here is going to be 75% of the total supply of Cherry tokens, which is going to be 88 million, going towards incentives. Now, this is quite the number here, and that's actually quite a bit going towards incentives. Normally, we don't have that much, but we have platforms like MinSwap, which are also dedicated to really incentivizing the community into adopting and using their tokens. So that's really good to see there. In terms of teams and advisors, we have 10 million tokens, or 8.8 million Cherry tokens, which again is a really conservative number. Normally we have 20 to 25% going towards the team. So I really like that value there. And then in terms of the pre-sale, which is already concluded, we have a total of 5%. And then we have an additional 5% going towards developer funds. And then we've got 2.5% going towards their DAO treasury, 2% going towards their initial liquidity, and then 0.5% going towards airdrops. Next, I want to touch on their triple farm. So if you guys are providing liquidity, or if you hold the Cherry token and you want to provide liquidity, you can do that on MinSwap, where they provide some really good APRs right now. But keep in mind that this is DeFi, so definitely make sure to understand the risks involved with impermanent loss and other things of that nature. But you'll be able to earn ADA, Cherry, and the Min token by providing liquidity into their triple farm. The next update is going to be surrounding their recent progress. So right now they are finalizing the mobile version of their platform. They're also adding additional endpoints, which I believe will allow for people to seamlessly, or without a user interface, interact with the Cherry protocol. And then very lastly, they're going to be announcing a testnet date very, very soon. One thing that really caught my attention is going to be the addition of the mobile support. I cannot say here how bullish I am on the fact that a lot of platforms are now going towards mobile. And if this team is able to really hit this on the head, they'll be able to, I think, tap into a market that has been untapped. Platforms, for example, like AADA Finance and Meld, I believe will be looking to go towards mobile. But if CherryLend is able to do it first, I think it's going to bring them a lot of credibility. Now, this team has been completely transparent in the fact that they are leveraging the code base from AADA Finance, and that their goal is to basically add on top of that. And I think the mobile adoption is going to be one of those features. Now, we're going to be touching on another feature here, but I think that going towards mobile is going to be the way. even myself here on this YouTube channel, I can see that the majority of people that view my content are doing so using a mobile device. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is going to be a pretty cool feature here being released by the Cherry team called optional on-chain credit. Now, optional on-chain credit is going to be similar to a credit score. Now, hear me out here. I know that people may be wondering how is that going to work on Cardano, but I want to break all of that down here with you. So it states here, Cardano lending and innovation. We're excited to introduce optional on-chain credit, leveraging SIP number 68 technology for a more flexible lending market. Now, they've got a link here to this article, which I'm going to break down. But in a nutshell, think of it like this. With SIP 68, we're going to have the ability to verify and update metadata associated with an NFT. So for example, as you do something with an NFT, you can update some of the attributes associated with it. In this particular case, what CherryLend is looking to do is to take the NFT that's going to be SIP 68 compatible, and as you begin to make loans and pay them back or not pay them back, they're going to be able to update that NFT, which will be forever tied to your wallet, in order to basically have a running history of how credible you are. Now, what is going to be optional about this is whether or not a a lender takes a look at your score, right? Depending on whether or not you've been paying back your loans, and then decides, whether or not to give you a particular loan given your history. So keep in mind it's going to be optional, but let's break down this article here together to get a better understanding of exactly what this is. So it says here, thanks to SIP number 68, we are excited to announce that we will be launching the first lending platform to introduce the idea of on-chain optional credit, or OOC for short. This will allow the Cardano DeFi community to leverage their credit history and have easier access to loans with less collateral. Overall, this should add more flexibility and fluidity to the lending experience, which is hopefully another factor that can contribute to Cardano's impending DeFi domination. Yes, DeFi has been doing an amazing job here, and we just broke over a huge milestone, which I'll be covering in my next video. Now, to this effect, they're going to be introducing optional on-chain credit, which functions as a freely mintable NFT, which is soul-bound to a user's wallet, meaning the NFT will always be associated with the wallet that mints it. So if you mint this particular NFT, whatever wallet you minted it with will always be tied to this NFT. Again, making sure that you're not able to somehow transfer your credit history, quote unquote, to any other wallet. Ideally, an honest user can mint this NFT, and the NFT will now track history of the user's OOC, or optional on-chain credit. If the user has displayed being an honest user over the years, a lender might feel more comfortable lending to the user with more favorable terms. Again, this is going to be optional. The same way a bank would be willing to lend more favorably to a borrower with a stronger credit score, a Cherry lender may be willing to offer more favorable terms to a borrower with strong OOC or optional on-chain credit. I hope that made sense to you guys. It definitely made sense to me, but let me know if you guys have any questions down below. I think, again, this is going to be a huge innovation here that the CherryLend team is doing that is not being done anywhere else. Could we potentially see MELD and AADA and other DeFi protocols like LQ follow suit? I definitely think so. If this is optional, I think this has the ability to really bring a lot of people into DeFi and make a lot more people comfortable when it comes to P2P loans. If you're looking at it from a peer to pool, or from a peer to pool aspect, then I don't think that this is really going to make a difference, because again, if you're taking a look at a peer to pool approach, the funds are always available and there's no other third party that needs to be there in order to accept or deny your loan. The second to last update surrounding Cherry is going to be an update on their treasury. So they now have over 742,000 ADA into their treasury, and they've also got more than 2 million Cherry tokens right now locked into their treasury. So a pretty good start there when it comes to leveraging Cardano and their own native token in order to make sure that they've got some assets in there in order to not only support the development, but also incentivize the community to continue adopting the Cherry token. The very last story I want to touch on here as a part of today's video is going to be surrounding the on-chain vote as a part of AADA's 6th governance proposal. So as a part of this proposal, we have the ability, or we're voting on the ability to add the bank token, which is going to be a meme coin as a borrowable asset to AADA, as well as adding the Cherry token as a borrowable asset to AADA. Now, touching on Bank, which is a meme coin that launched after SNEC, they right now have a 30% yes vote and the majority voting no at 62%. And keep in mind, this is only about halfway through the actual vote. In terms of Cherry, however, is going to be a much different sentiment. 78% are currently voting yes, and about 21% are voting no. Now, why is this interesting? Well, if you guys are not aware, the Cherry platform has openly stated that they actually have taken and leveraged the open source code being built by AADA. So the AADA finance appears to not have any issues allowing for the Cherry community to come in and actually have their assets be borrowed upon within the AADA protocol. So shout out to AADA finance for starting the trend. We'll see exactly how the CherryLend platform is able to build and innovate on top of their existing platform. And I'll be keeping you guys updated as a part of that. That is going to bring us to a close here for today's video. This was quite the episode here for Cardano Scoop. I appreciate you guys tuning in and sticking around for the entire video, but that is going to do it. As a part of this video, we touched on the SEC allegations and IOG's stern response. We also touched on the liquidity bots, or the mempool issue that we recently saw with the quote-unquote meme coin launch that took place over the course of the last week. We also touched on the pioneering marketplace here for NFTs, which is going to be closing down, which is cnft.io or Explosive, as well as the adoption and partnership between Genius X and the Chainport Bridge. In closing, we touched on CherryLend, in which we've covered their use cases, their roadmap, their tokenomics, their triple farm, their current progress, on-chain credit, treasury, and governance vote on the AADA platform. That said, if you guys enjoyed today's huge update, please make sure to tap that like button. Again, I really do appreciate it. It goes a long way. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, consider subscribing for more content just like this. And if you guys have any questions for me surrounding Cardano or any other topics that we touched on as a part of today's video, then please make sure to leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.